Sunday. Happy Sunday. We're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. We're live on this Sunday, and I want to get a chance to see if there's anyone that'll get on. I usually don't wait, but this is one time that I am going to wait and sip my tea. I've cut the cup in half so it could fit in a little microwave that I warmed it in. But I'm drinking my tea, and I'm gonna wait maybe 10 minutes, 10 minutes maybe. Regardless, this story that I'm gonna tell is going to get to someone. This is chamomile tea, and this is something I drink often. I drink turmeric tea as well. I drink about 5 or 6 cups of tea a day. Tea that is good for you, that doesn't have caffeine. I can't drink caffeine very well. But I want to tell you a story. Someone told me today that I have stories that I can tell. So for the first time, I'm going to tell you a story. And it's going to be a story that really relates to me because it's going to involve the name of the first ministry that I began and the name that God gave me to give the ministry. And as soon as I feel led or 10 minutes passes, I'm going to tell you this story. The story comes from the Bible, and it talks about a woman that nobody thinks about or even remembers her name. Her name is not even mentioned, I don't believe, in the Bible. But I have researched and found out the name of this woman. And this woman in the Bible was so significant. This message is mostly for women, and men can listen as well because it involves you. It involves everyone. It involves the nation. It involves your community. It involves the whole entire world. It involves Jews. It involves Greeks. It involves white, black, no matter what color you are. This story I'm about to tell you, it involves everyone. And it's so important because the story I'm going to tell you, it talks about a woman. Gosh, this is one of the most important lives I've done in a long time. So, I don't know if anyone's going to get on at all. But regardless if someone gets on, the live part of it, it's going to be replayed, and make sure as you get on it in the middle that you go back to the beginning. So I want to tell you about the woman at the well. Woman at the Well is the name of a ministry that I began in 2003, and didn't know that I was beginning this ministry in 2003, and naming it Woman at the Well, that it related to me so much. It's just the name that God gave me. God gave me the name of the ministry. He told me to name it Woman at the Well. And that's what I did. And little did I realize some of the characteristics that this woman had was the same characteristics that I had. So this story I'm going to tell you is very important. So I want you to share this video. I want you to subscribe to the channel. I want you to definitely share this with another woman. It's not just for women, but what I'm going to tell you about is a story that so many of us forget, but a story that is so important because it's the first time that Christ was revealed who he was to anyone. He didn't just reveal himself to Peter when he said, Peter, flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but only my Father in heaven could have revealed this to you, that he's Christ. But this is deeper than just revealing that he's Christ. This is the moment where he revealed that he was God himself in the flesh. I don't know if you know or remember or recall back when Moses and the burning bush was burning, and Moses asks, "Who do I say that I am?" or "Who do I say sent me?" or "Who do I say you are?" And God said from the burning bush, I am that I am. Period, point blank, I am that I am. And so this story is going to take you a little bit back to Moses when God spoke to him in the burning bush, and this time in the New Testament when the Bible was changed from Hebrew to Greek. Then it was explained that Jesus had told this woman that he was God, and that he was I am. It's a certain way or phrase he said in the Jewish terms, but he was really saying I am. Once again, he had never said that before. Most of the time when Jesus was with the disciples and he did his miracles, he would tell people, "Go, don't tell anyone that I healed you," or "Go, because my time is not yet come. Go, don't reveal this to anyone. Go." Or he'll say, "Go show yourself to your brethren," but he would not want to relay attention to himself because he didn't want anyone to really know who he was. But he decided the first time that he would reveal who he really was to a woman, to a woman. And her name, and it doesn't mention it in the New Testament, was Photimi, Photini or Timi, Photini, I think it is. But that word means light. So she was revealed, it was revealed to her who Jesus was. She was a Samaritan, and the most of the time they talk about her, they talk about how she had 5 husbands. She had 5 husbands, and the person that she was with, the man she was with, was not her husband. And she was looked down on by all the women in the village because she had so many husbands. They looked down on her and made her feel like she was nobody, nothing. And, a lot of people nowadays would look at it as, hey, she was able to get 5 husbands. She must have been doing something right, somebody said. Because there's a lot of women that ain't able to get one husband. And she was able to get 5 husbands. And the man she was with was not her husband. But she went to the well to draw water. The name of the well was Jacob's Well. And I'm telling a story. If you just join me, I'm telling a story to you guys. The name of the well is called Jacob's Well. She was going there to draw water, and it is one of the deepest wells that you have to have something to draw water with. There's no way you can draw water from the well, especially Jacob's Well, because it was so deep. So she went to draw water, and she met a man. And she said this about the man, that he told her everything about herself that she just could not believe the things that he told her about herself. He knew that she had 5 husbands, and the one husband or the one man that she was with was not her husband. So he knew all those things. And she had asked him, she had told him, "You can't draw from here and get water. You have to have, the well is too deep. You have to have something to draw with and to get the water from." And he said to her, "If you knew who I was, then you would ask me for water." And she said to him, "Tell me of this water," because he said that this was a water that if you drink of it, you'll never thirst again. So she said, "Well, just tell me of this water." And he told her about herself, and he told her who he was, to the point where she left her jug of water and went into the town and told everybody about this man that she had met. She said, "Come see a man. Come see a man that told me everything about myself. Come see a man." And this one woman named Fotini or Fotimi, she told the whole town about this one man who was Christ. She told the entire town about him, that they wanted to see this man that had spoke to her, and she was a Samaritan. She was considered somebody that nobody would speak to. She went to draw well at the water because the women didn't want to be around her. This was a woman that all her past probably had been exposed, and people knew about her, knew the type of woman she was, knew that she was probably an adulterous woman, knew that she was probably a woman that that didn't have anything, probably was poor, probably just didn't have the things that other women had. She had to look somewhat good because she had 5 husbands, even though she couldn't keep them. But one thing about this woman, nobody wanted to deal with her. She was a Samaritan. And even the Samaritans, the Jews, looked down on the Samaritan. And there was a rift between the Jewish people and the Samaritans. And what the Jewish people did is they worshiped God in a whole different place because they didn't want to worship. They worship him in Jerusalem, and the Samaritans worship him where Moses encountered God in Samaria, I think. And they worship. They were all Jewish, but they were separated for hundreds and hundreds of years, and they were worshiping God in different places. This is when people thought that God was a God that you had to worship here, you had to worship there, and like the Muslims think, you got to pray towards the east, the west, the north, or the south. I don't know which way, but this was the type of thing that people put a lot of emphasis on, the place that you worship God. And at this time, this was Jesus encountering this woman and telling her, this is who I am. I am who I say I am. I am the I am that I am. This was the first time that he had said he was God in the flesh. And he revealed it to a woman. He didn't reveal it to a man. He didn't reveal it to a child. He waited and revealed it to a woman that nobody cared about, nobody wanted to be around. She was a shameful woman to everybody else. And she was called the woman at the well. This is the name of the ministry that God had gave me in 2003. I had been separated from my husband, and I was treated shamefully, and I hadn't done anything wrong. I was still a wife trying to raise children, but I was feeling shameful and treated shameful. And I didn't know what to do with my life because all I did at the time that I was separated was work with women while my husband worked with men, and we had a church and we had things that we were doing together. And to have your husband leave you and separate from you, and then everyone looking at you as this woman that's shameful while this man is such a great man and still going on and ministering, it makes you feel a certain type of way. So I felt that type of way, and I didn't know what I was going to do to provide for my family, my children, for what was next in life. All I knew was what I liked to do was to help women. And I said, you know what? I want to get a place where I can help women on my own. And that's what I did. I sought after a place to help women. And I asked God, what is the name that I should name it? And it wasn't because of the encounter of Jesus and the woman at the well. It's just the name that God gave me. He gave me the name Woman at the Well. And I said, well, I guess, she's similar to me. She's had these encounters with men, and she's similar to me. And I just didn't think of it like that at that time. I just took the name. But when I began to study it today, I remembered I haven't used that name in so long, Woman at the Well Ministries. And I recently this month have been speaking that name out, Woman at the Well Ministries, Woman at the Well. It was a vision that I had to help women and children. And I was able to help women, but I was never able to help women and children, just women and men. So I went on throughout the years and having rehabilitation and programs and houses for men and for women. But today I was studying on YouTube and thinking of this woman at the well. And this woman that comes to mind is the woman that was at the well. And she said, come see a man. And I'll tell you about how I met this man and he changed my life. She didn't even take her jar with her. She left it, and her whole life changed. And she went throughout the world telling people with her sisters and I think her two sons about Christ, that she had met Christ, who said that he was God, that he said, I am. And if you knew who I was, I could give you that living water and you would never thirst again. Do you know what that means? That means that I don't care what kind of ego men have and being the heads of churches, pastors, kings in the pulpit, women are so significant in Christ's life that he chose to reveal who he truly was to a woman. He chose to reveal the divine nature of himself to a woman first and foremost. So when people say women don't have ministry, women don't have a right to do this or do that, there's a lot of politicking about women speaking in churches. I'm here to tell you that Jesus came that day to let that woman know that this is the day that you're going to know who I am. And this is the day that no longer are people going to worship in this temple or in that temple in Jerusalem or in Samaria, but they're going to worship me in spirit and in truth. That's what he said. What does that mean? That means that you, no matter whether you go to church or you don't go to church, where you have to worship God is not in a place, not just in a building made with hands, but from your spirit. That's how you're going to worship and find out and learn about God in spirit and in truth. And so he revealed himself to this woman. This woman actually was sought after by Nero. Nero was a king, and he had heard about the woman going around and telling people, you need to know this man. You need to know this man that I met. And Nero brought her before him and offered her all kind of riches to denounce this Christ and to shut up and stop telling people about this man and to bow down and just completely change her vocabulary and stop speaking about this man that she had encountered at the well that told her everything about herself. So Nero couldn't convince her. He convinced her to be quiet. He convinced her to shut her mouth. He even threatened to torture her. And eventually, guess what he did? He did torture her. And afterwards, he put her in a dry well because all she talked about is this well with this living water. And he put her in a well that had no water. And eventually, she died in that well, but she never recanted her statement and her faith in that man that told her everything about herself, that made a change in her life, that turned her life totally around to the point where all she could do was think about this man and talk about this man that she encountered. This man made her feel important. This man made her feel special. This man made her feel like somebody. This man never left her. This man never discarded her. This man never mistreated her. And the way he dealt with her was so delicate. He didn't come and preach at her. He didn't come and tell her, you ought to be doing this, you Samaritan. You're not really a Jew like the rest of the Jews. You need to do it like this. He didn't come beating her over the head with scriptures. He just politely told her about herself and things that only he and her knew. And the things that he told her after he told her what he knew about her, it astonished her. And she asked him. She asked him. He didn't even tell her, You need to follow me. You need to worship me. He just told her things. And after he told her things out of her mouth, she said, "Where is this water that I can drink of and never ever be thirsty again?" I don't know about you, but to be encountered by God Himself and not be a man and be told that you can drink of a water and never have to be thirsty. Do you know that's not the only woman in the Bible that was able to eat and drink and never go hungry and never be thirsty? There was a woman that Elijah met, and she was about to eat her last meal, make a meal for her son, and drink the last water she had and die because there was a famine in the land. And Elijah actually told her, he said, "I tell you what, if you make this meal, give it to me. Give to me first." And her faith allowed her to receive the blessing, because after she gave to this man of God and made a place for him to stay, she gave to him first, and she had food and water to drink. She never went without. Ever, ever, ever went without. Her meal did not run dry. Her water did not run dry, because she had met a man called Elijah. That's not the only woman in the Bible. The woman in the Bible that was the first one when Jesus died and rose again, he didn't reveal himself to the disciples because they had given up and left. But this one woman stayed right there because she believed that he said he was going to come back in 3 days. This one woman, Jesus presented himself to this woman, and he told this woman, he said, "Go and tell Peter, go and tell them that I live." This was yet another woman that God presented himself to in the scriptures, in the Bible. So when they talk about women not having a place in the gospel, women not having a place in what God is doing right now, what he told that woman at the well was, this is the time where they will no longer worship in Jerusalem. They say, "Oh, the Jews are in Jerusalem, the real ones, they're in Jerusalem. We have to worship him there." And people travel from all over the world and go to Jerusalem just to see Jerusalem. But he's not there. Then the Samaritans say, "Oh, he's over here on the other side of the mountain." Well, he met her in the middle of these two mountains at the well, at Jacob's well. And at Jacob's well was the water, and the water where it flows, and the spring still goes now. The spring just springs forth water, 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 water. He met that woman right there. And at that point of contact, he made her feel like something special because he sat with her and he was a Jew. Rabbis weren't supposed to be speaking to women, period, let alone speaking to a dirty, underbelly Samaritan. Yes, that's how they looked at him. You from the ghetto, you from the small parts of your city. I don't care where you are. You from the south side of Chicago. You from Augier Gardens or Cabrini Green, wherever you from. He went to a place like that where a woman was, and this woman was a woman that even the women would not even go to the well and draw water with her, and he talked to her by himself. He didn't care about pretenses like these preachers now. They worry about who's going to see them talking to a woman. How's a woman, like Paul said, going to hear the gospel if I don't bring her the gospel, whether she be Jew or Greek or whether she be male or female? I'm going to bring her the gospel. So this is something about Jesus that people don't recognize and don't understand, that it doesn't matter what you think about him on the outside. They called him a wine bibber. They called him something because he said he was going to eat with the tax collector. They talked about Jesus. They said this about him and that about him because he didn't come the way that they thought he would come. A lot of y'all are looking for Christ, Yeshua, Jesus, whatever name you call him. You're looking for him in all the wrong places. There's a way to look for him, and now is the way that you look for him is in spirit and in truth. You can encounter God, Christ, in the bathroom. You can encounter God in a restaurant. You can encounter God anywhere. It doesn't matter if you walk in the doors of the church, you can encounter him at the church, you can encounter him outside of the church. But know this, that as a woman, women are one of the people that God revealed himself to. Women are important to God. This woman at the well, at her lowest point in her life, he revealed himself to her and he made a way for her. And she became his mouthpiece. She became the first evangelist. She became, they call her an apostle. They've given her a saint day. She became the first apostle, the first woman, a female apostle, the first female woman that was an evangelist. And she became that just because of an encounter with Christ, telling her who she was. And when he told her who she was, all about herself, now who she was, all about herself, she realized that she wasn't just a woman going to get water. It was her duty. It was her job. It was her mandate to tell people who this man was. Some of you that are listening under the sound of my voice, it is your duty. It is your mandate. It is your job to tell somebody about Christ, the Son of the living God. And you don't have to go preaching to them and telling them, oh, believe, get baptized, get saved. You can just shine your light. You can just tell them in silence, hey, you know he loves you. You know he's got your back. You know it doesn't matter the situation that you're in right now. He's got you, and he knows what you're doing, who you're doing it with, and how you're doing it. There's nothing that is hid from him. So because there's nothing that's hid from him, anything that you've done or ever done in your life or that you're doing right now, it doesn't matter to him. What matters to him is to get the message across to you that now is the time that you worship him, not somewhere else, but in spirit and in truth. So this woman, let me tell you, this woman at the well was encountered by the disciples after that. Jesus and her were talking. The disciples, they looked over and saw the situation, didn't quite understand it, but John in the Gospels, in the book of John, if you read your Bible, that's where you'll find the woman at the well that Jesus met. These disciples didn't question it, but I can imagine them wondering, what is he doing talking to that woman? These are 12 people that were the closest to him, but he didn't reveal who he was to them. This woman, he revealed it to. He stayed in that village for 2 days. They wanted him to continue to stay. Do you know the whole town got saved because of one woman? One woman carried a message, and the entire town kept him there for 2 days. And the entire town gave their life to Christ. And it bridged a gap that had been separated from Jerusalem to Samaria for years. It let them know that it didn't matter that they built a temple that got burned down to the ground and never rebuilt. It didn't matter that there was a temple in Jerusalem. Like right now, they say they're Jews, but they don't acknowledge the Messiah. They don't acknowledge Christ being the Messiah. They're still looking for the Messiah to come. Some of them are not acknowledging Christ, and some of them have caught on and said, hey, Christ has come and he's risen again. So I just wanted to tell you that little story I have or had started woman at the well. And that name is still there if I want to get it and renew it or whatever I want to do with it. But I wanted to tell you that I am and you are, under the sound of my voice, some of you, that same woman at the well. Tell your story. Don't keep your mouth quiet. Tell somebody about what they need to hear. What is it that's going to be living water for them? That they can get a job, that they can get some food, that they can get pointed in the right direction. You just got to be that living water that's always got something that's going to make somebody come out of whatever they're in, whatever situation they're in. That living water means that when you open your mouth, water just flows out, and it's going to refresh people because water is refreshing. So don't let your mouth be closed and silent. Don't hide your gift. Don't hide what you're thinking. Don't hide what you say. If you got a gift of the word of knowledge, a word of wisdom, let a person know, hey, this is what I think, and this is what God showed me. And that's living water to them. Anything that will point them in the direction of Yeshua, Christ, the Anointed One, the I am. And that's the end of that story. God bless you. Happy Sunday. Thank you for tuning in. And I will see you again soon.